days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. 49ers defensive line and interior defensive tackles has been a topic of conversation all season. Well, you could even say during the offseason as well, with the things that were going on with Kinlaw and other media members. But the 49ers have had a struggle a little bit on the interior defensive line since Armstead and Kinlaw have been out. They went with Hassan Ridgeway. They went with Kevin Givens, which are solid moves. Those guys are great rotational pieces. But they haven't really had anyone in the interior since then that is a big-time player. There's question marks about Kinlaw's knee. Is he going to be able to make an impact? Kinlaw, of course, is on the IR, and the first time he can come off the injured reserve is when they play the Cardinals. That's November 21st. Potentially, he could be back on the field and ready to play for the San Francisco 49ers. Is that when he's going to come back? That's a big question. Can the 49ers do something else? Trading for a defensive player, it could make sense, but then you're going to give up draft capital. You gave up so much for Christian McCaffrey. Wouldn't the smartest move be to sign somebody right off the streets? A guy that Chris Kasarik is familiar with. A guy that's a wrecker on the interior. Now, is he older? Yes, he's 35 years old. I'm talking about Ndamukong Suh. Suh's 35 years old. Suh has been around the league for a long time, but he was still producing at a pretty high level. And adding him to this defense, whether you have Armstead and Kinlaw or not, could be very beneficial to your team. Now that it will only be for half the year, he could probably hold up and make a huge impact. A fresh Ndamukong Suh going into the playoffs could be dynamic for the 49ers team. What's it going to take, though? Well, let's talk about Suh a little bit and how he did last year to kind of get a baseline for what it could cost to bring Ndamukong Suh to the San Francisco 49ers. Number one, in 2021, he had 27 tackles. That is still pretty good for an interior defensive lineman. 6 sacks means he can still get after it. That is an increase from what you're going to get from Javon Kinlaw or from any of those other defensive linemen not named Eric Armstead. Would it help Armstead immensely to have Ndamukong Suh next to him? Absolutely. Those two guys would be absolute game wreckers and run stoppers on the interior, which you need to be able to win in the playoffs and to be able to close games out in the playoffs and Super Bowl. Suh's been around. He knows what's up. He knows how to win the biggest games. He's a veteran in this league for a long time. So I think that's something to remember. 7 tackles for loss. Still a penetrator. And playing for Chris Kasarik, you really become a penetrator from the defensive line spot. That is what this defense is predicated on. That's what they do a lot. And I think that, Ndamukong Suh still wants to play. There were lots of conversations that Ndamukong Suh, from his own mouth, he wanted to come back in 2022. Now, it was in June that it pretty much was discovered him and Tampa Bay were not going to work out. He wasn't going back to the Buccaneers, and he needed to look for other options. And he kind of did a little bit of a tour. He had a little short stop talking to the Rams. He talked to the Raiders looking for a spot. And now you're here. We're sitting here in the beginning of November, and Ndamukong Suh is still available. The closest thing I remember to this is kind of when Clay Matthews in 2020 just never signed again. Is this the end of Ndamukong Suh? I hope not. But I don't know exactly what it would cost to bring him in. I'm guessing since he's not on the roster that he's still looking to get paid pretty handsomely. He got paid handsomely for Tampa Bay, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's money that Ndamukong Suh needs. But if it's a championship caliber team, the 49ers can present that to him. There are other drawbacks from bringing Ndamukong Suh in. Of course, younger Ndamukong Suh caused a lot of problems on the field and in the locker room. What kind of Ndamukong Suh are you going to get? Are you getting a veteran leader, somebody that you can really rely on that won't upset a chemistry in the locker room? Or are you getting, a guy that's going to cause problems for your team? I think that's a big question. The 49ers would have to be very comfortable with Ndamukong Suh walking into this locker room. Now, I'm very comfortable with it for this reason, because you've got guys like Armstead and Bosa and Fred Warner and Jimmy Ward who have been around this league and carry a lot of weight in the locker room. And no one's going to walk in there and upset the chemistry of this locker room with those kind of leaders in the room. But you have to be willing to take that chance. Now, it'll be a non-guaranteed contract more than likely. After the first game of the season, the contracts are not guaranteed. It's a low-risk, high-reward chance to bring in Ndamukong Suh to the San Francisco 49ers. financially, do you have the money? You could definitely make it work. There's other moves I'm sure the 49ers would like to do as well. But if you're going all in, you need to make sure you have somebody in there. I don't know exactly what the status of Kinlaw is, but I don't know how safe they feel that Javon Kinlaw is going to be able to come back and make an impact. With him not being able to come back and make an impact, even when Armstead gets back, you're still short one starter on your interior defensive line, which means your rotation continues to be less strong than it was at the beginning of the season. It means you're probably still rotating Kerry Hyder. Are they going to have Jordan Willis coming back? Yes. But Jordan Willis is an outside edge rusher. He's not an interior defensive lineman. And even then, they're going to have to make a decision if they want Jordan Willis or Kamoko Toure or who they want on this active 53-man roster. So the 49ers have to look for avenues to be able to get defensive linemen. Could they trade for someone? Absolutely. But not giving up draft capital and still being able to get a player of Ndamukong Suh's caliber could be exactly the direction the 49ers need to go. Will they do it? I think that's an even bigger question. 49ers fans and 49ers media members have been bringing up Ndamukong Suh for several weeks, me included. Could this be the time? You're going in the bye week. Could the 49ers actually pull the trigger and bring in Ndamukong Suh and really set this defense apart? Plugging and playing him with hopefully a returning Eric Armstead could make a huge impact for the San Francisco 49ers defense and overall put them right back in the thick as the best defense in the league. That's the kind of ability Ndamukong Suh has to play on the inside. He can be an absolute wrecker. He's good against the run. As you can see, good against the pass from the defensive nose tackle spot, 6 sacks. That would be a much bigger improvement for this interior D-line. Will they do it? I don't know. Would you do it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you be willing to bring in defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh to help the San Francisco 49ers defense? What would you be willing to pay for it? Let me know. I'm very curious what people think of Suh. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell, anytime a video comes out or anytime I go live. I'm really curious what everyone thinks. These are some conversations about players that I've been willing to have. And I think this is the time to talk about it because the 49ers are in the thick of the playoff hunt. They're in the thick of the championship hunt. Let's see what they can end up getting done. Could there be a couple of moves coming down the way? John Lynch hasn't shied away from making moves in the past. Could Suh be a part of those? We're going to find out here pretty quick. But thanks, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming through. Looking forward to talking more to you all throughout the week about the San Francisco 49ers. And next week, we'll prepare for the Chargers. But this week, all about the bye. So enjoy the content that's coming out. Let me know what you guys think. Until the next time, stay safe. And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.